Hello, I'm Caro Feely of Chateau and French Wine Adventures. I am so excited to be in St Emilion with you today. St Emilion is one of my favorite places in the world. It is a magnificent medieval village. It is a wonderful place to discover wine with a fantastic terroir. And we're going to be exploring it today through the village and its history, the vineyards and their 800 different estates. We'll not be visiting all of them, but we'll be visiting a few of them. And then we'll be getting a little bit closer to the terroir of St Emilion, which is part of its unique taste, its unique heritage, and you see it all around us in the stone buildings that I'm surrounded by. So that's what we're going to be talking about first, actually, is the history, because these stones tell us some of the history of St Emilion as well. And we find it through this village behind me, the limestone terroir. So I'll be telling you a bit about the history as I point out some of the landmarks that relate to that history. So St Emilion's history actually goes back to even before what you can see around me here today. It goes back to several thousand BC or BCE. In the valley there is an ancient menhir called the Pyrrhophyte that dates to several thousand BCE. So man was already in this valley. The village itself actually starts with more of a Gallo-Roman history. The link to this era of Gallo-Roman history is Chateau, which was started by Ausonius. And you can see Chateau out in the distance, the little grey roof. Chateau was started by a man called Ausonius in around 350. And that was when the foundations of St Emilion were started. But the place really started to gain pace when Emilion, the monk, a Breton monk, came and settled here in about 750. And he came to be a private, quiet monk, but in fact, he was a miracle worker. And because of his miracles, more and more people came to this place. It wasn't called St Emilion back then. He became the heart of the village, and hence it was named after him, St Emilion. So St Emilion arrived in 750. He settled in a cave just below us, and he wanted to be quiet, but of course the miracles meant more and more people came to see him, and the village built up around him. And in fact his followers built the church that is below me. So we're on the terrace, which is the roof of this church, and we have the tower next to us. And this church was carved out of the solid rock. It is a monolithic church by Emilion's followers between around 800 and 1000. So it's a very ancient church. It's the largest monolithic church in Europe, and it's the second oldest monolithic church in Europe. So St Emilion's followers carved this magnificent church, and then the town built out around it. So all of what you see around us is, or part of it is, that medieval town, and some of it came after. So the more smooth buildings are the ones that are from a little bit more recent, and the really pockmarked ones are the older ones from that medieval time. The square below me is where they used to have the market. So the market square is the section below me in front of the church. And then, so as we look out, we can also see lots of monasteries. The monasteries became a key feature of this place. So the monasteries were very powerful in St Emilion and right through into the time of the Revolution. And actually behind me as well, one other landmark I'll point out is the King's Tower. The King's Tower, the square blocky tower that is behind me, and that was built in around 1200. And there's debate about who it was built for. They think it was probably built for the English kings when the English rule started. So that was another important era. So just thinking of the history of St Emilion, the Gallo-Roman start with Ausonius, then moving into this monastic period with St Emilion and his settling here, the building of the monasteries around, and then the English rule, and the English rule from 1152 to 1453. The story is that Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry, who was the English king she married, she had been married to the French king before, but she convinced the Pope to annul the marriage, and then she married Henry II, who was about to become King of England. And she and Henry gave St Emilion their city rights in return for 50 barrels of van honorific a year as a tax. So this St Emilion tax, I guess, was part of the bounty that they got for giving it special status. Cities had advantages, extra protection advantages that other places didn't have. And one of the other interesting anecdotes as we talk about the English history is when you walk around St Emilion on the old roads, you will discover that you are walking on old stone from England. So it's actually cobblestones that come from Cornwall. So Cornish cobblestones as you walk around in St Emilion, rather than local stone, because the local stone is limestone and it's too porous to be used for roads. So that's a little interesting anecdote as you walk around. The next, probably most important aspect is the creation, in terms of history in St Emilion, is the creation of the Grand Cru Classé system in 1955. And we're going to talk more about Grand Cru Classés as we go through the day and how that works in St Emilion. So that's just to give you a taste of the history of St Emilion, and it's such a pleasure to be visiting the village with you this morning. So thanks for joining us.